The beauty of Slice of Life is the opportunity to explore a multitude of different worlds. It is the realization that each individual has their own unique story to tell, if only they had the chance. Whether you've always wanted to camp, fish, or become an idol, there's a little something for everyone. Here are your nominees for Best Slice of Life of 2024.
$9番完了。8番。おはよう。おはよう。りんちゃんも。時はちゃんのバースデーケーキが。
なんとチョビ様が白龍であった
And your winner for the jury and the public is Season 3 of Yuru Camp. Triangle. Triangle.
Dramatic pause. Eurocamp Triangle Season 3 has a little bit of a mix-up because the studio changed to 8-bit. What do you think about that? Do you think it was a positive change? Did you notice a difference when you first started watching?
Yes, definitely. When the change was made from C-Station to 8-bit, the first thing that I noticed was the increase in quality with backgrounds. I was stunned at times with how high quality the backgrounds look, how high quality the cinematography was. It took a step up this season, traveling closer to Mount Fuji, around the lakes and the bridges, through the cherry blossoms. I think it did a lot right in the production side of things.
Mason?
I definitely noticed it. I can't say I completely agree with all the shifts being for the positive. While I do think the backgrounds looked fantastic, I think it led to some compositing issues where the characters didn't feel like they were residing in the scene the same way they did in previous seasons. And while I like this shift towards more touristic activities of spanning bridges or going really into trains or hobbies like biking to explain why a character design might have shifted a bit between the seasons, I didn't feel like the same show to me. And I get that a lot of this was maybe to redirect it in line with the manga, but as someone who was an anime-only fan for, the first couple seasons, this one kind of shook me a bit and wasn't quite the same flavor of Laid Back Camp that I had grown to love, though I still think it's a very solid show across the board.
Oh, so what do you think should have won instead? Because it doesn't sound like you're very high on it.
I was not surprised that this one, considering how strong it's placed across past years. It's always been in the top entries across public, whether it be even the non-traditional seasons like Heya Camp or the movie. So this was not a surprise, but to see it win the jury as well was a little unexpected. I thought, Slice of Life really delivered a bunch of very exciting stuff this year. I think the two standouts for me have to be Madogiwa no Toto-chan, the movie that I understand not a lot of folks probably have seen at this point, but I thought it was extremely effective in a lot of its storytelling mechanics. And additionally, as someone who is not the biggest fan of Yuru Yuri and who has not even seen seasons 2 or 3, I really dug the two kind of mini movies that the Omura K series brought up.
Mitsuyan, what do you say to that? Do you kind of defend the jury's pick of Eurocamp here?
So with Toto-chan, I thought that the animation, the art style, cinematography was absolutely stunning, but I felt that the final third was rushed. The first 2/3 offered a beautiful insight into Toto-chan's life in her new school and being brought to lift up her friends and be a valuable part of the school community, whereas the final third encompassed many more years of the war, including major character deaths and significant time skips throughout. I feel that Toto-chan would score a lot better among the jury if it was more spaced out. The pacing was a pretty common complaint, and that is the main thing I would say about that. So with Omoruke, one of the common complaints was that it was more for people who had seen Yuri and had a better relationship with the characters. It did a lot right, again. Omoruke was positively received. It was filled with fantastic character interactions and looked really nice. But its dependence on Yuri and just all around not standing out among what was a incredibly stacked slice of life category. With slice of life as well, there were some shows that could have easily got in. And I think Homeruke was just really unfortunate this year to be up against such incredible shows like Eurocamp and Love Live Superstar. There isn't a slight on Homeruke at all that it hasn't won. It's just up against some of the best of its genre.
Now, I have a brief kind of pet score to settle here because the the public has rated what I believe is correctly 2.5D up in second place. 2.5D, I was very skeptical going in. I was kind of expecting just a trashy show to watch for like nice fan service in cosplay, right? But what I discovered instead was this kind of really passionate project about how people interact with their hobbies, how people interact with what that means as being a part of their identity. And at the end of the day, it was a really touching story for me. I'm wondering exactly what the jury thought about it and why Love Live is so much better than it.
I'm going to have to give my personal views first. I thought 2.5D and Love Live Superstar were my second and third anime of the year.
Hell yeah.
But on the topic of slice of life, one of the main complaints, and I can concur with this, because what stopped 2.5D from being my actual anime of the year was the early content. 2.5D is a show that constantly improves as it goes on, but the start is perceived as so off-putting, with Okamura being presented. Well, one of the comments was, the guy's an incel.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah.
I think he says that literally. So
it does. He develops on it as the show goes on, but I feel that stigma sticks, and with Mikuri going out of the show for so long, I feel that Mikuri could have been much more of a fan's favourite if she'd have stuck around. But one of the other complaints that came up was the production. 2.5D is one of about 60,000 anime that JC staff have done this year. And while 2.5D does stand out to me in its story, it just falls into being, if you don't appreciate what it does, it can very easily fall into being, to the viewer, just a generic harem. But as it has come second in the public vote, I get to glaze it now. So what I will say, I thought that 2.5D very quickly found itself subverting its generic ecchi expectations. It was a dramatic story around Okamura supporting his friends, lifting them up. I know that the jury didn't think he was lifting them up as much as I did, and that was also an issue. But personally, I thought he really lifted the characters, especially Ari Kisaki in the second half. As far as character design goes, the jury thought it was solid but not particularly memorable, whereas evidently the public and myself thought it absolutely excelled in these areas. I personally love all four of the main characters. One of the other criticisms that even I personally had was it wasn't that faithful to what is seen as a... Can I swear?
no, yeah, I mean, whatever.
I was about to drop an F-bomb, yeah. So one of the criticisms that I have about 2.5D seduction, and this is a common complaint that I've seen among the Ranime threads, even my other friends that watch the show, is it lost a lot of edge compared to what is a fucking brilliant manga. The lack of Rarisa's in-school progress was also something that I personally noted. Rarisa is constantly put in detention and cram classes, and I was disappointed that this was never brought up as a point of development for Rarisa. As far as the comparison to the manga goes, it loses a lot of the, like, when it comes to losing the edge, it's a very lewd manga. I've read enough of it to to have seen things. If 2.5D just had that little bit more about it, it would have been so much better.
I see. So you feel like it didn't go all the way that it could have.
Yeah.
Which, as someone who has not seen all of 2.5D, you did mention it did get better as it went on, but having only watched the beginning, I'd have to be a diaper-wearing baby to not know where it goes. It's going to collect a harem of girls, but they're going to pursue their interests in cosplay and photography and have that optimistic energy about one's hobbies, urging confidence and a validation of one's pursuit, kind of like Wilson mentioned at the top. I just found it kind of ironic that, in the show about believing in ecchi and the value in it and how it brings people together, it itself did not commit to it. It's like having your cake and not eating it, or in this case, not even looking at it. It would be equivalent to if Eurocamp had the characters, practicing putting a tent up and buying their supplies and then not showing the camping or not executing on it. And it just feels like you couldn't commit that little extra step to really sell me on it. And maybe this is just, a call to get more ecchi shows. I don't know. But it felt a little subversion breaking in a sense.
Okay, not every show can be Ishizoku reviewers, okay?
Exactly. It can't all be peak.
But Mason, to leave us off here, is there any one of these nominees that you consider kind of like a sleeper hit, something that you really found enjoyable that's kind of lower down that deserves a shout out?
I mean, definitely Garden of Remembrance, I think, deserves people's time. It's only 18 minutes, and honestly, this is just a prelude to discuss The Colors Within in next year's 2025 award, so I'm sure that will pop up in some way. Fantastic thing. I guess my big question that I want to ask Mitsuyan is, in a lot of sense, anime is about slices of lives of different characters in different mediums going on their own stories. Assume we could strip out every other category, every other genre award, and just have a slice of life. What other anime from 2024 would you want to poach for this category? Because there's quite a handful of shows, I think we could argue, that were maybe action or drama or romance, but exhibited really strong slice of life elements. What would you want to steal from other people?
My fourth pick for Anime of the Year 2024 was Oi Tombo.
Okay,
and
yeah.
I personally did shortlist it, but it was unfortunate to not make it through. I thought Tombo was an absolutely beautiful, initially a sports show about the rise of Tombo as a golfer, and then the character drama in season 2 with all of the characters going through their own tribulations. I thought Tombo was just beautiful, and it's a shame that it was stuck in Amazon Prime jail for the 2 seasons it ran, because if it was on Crunchyroll, it would probably be here right now.
All right, there you have it. A good number of things to check out, and I want to thank y'all for both talking with me about these slice of life series.
Of course, it was my pleasure, and a lot more relaxed than talking about action or suspense.
That's how we like it around here. But on with the show.